Hello and welcome to today's video. So today we are going to talk about suspension safeguard, which is something that you get free with your Bookable VA online arbitrage deals subscription, which is going to save you potentially hundreds if not thousands of pounds if you get suspended, because suspension help is really expensive, which is why I brought Get Unsuspended to our community of online arbitrage sellers, because there's these people spending £2,000-3,000 getting professional suspension help, and I wanted to make it a lot more affordable for the average person, because it broke my heart that I saw people in the groups losing their accounts on Amazon, and not because what they'd done was so bad it was unforgivable, but because their ability to write a really good, well-written plan of action for Amazon wasn't there. It's just a skill they didn't have, and they lost their account for that reason, not because of what they did. And that didn't sit very well with me, which is why I got involved in suspensions in the first place, just to try and make sure that people lost their account because they behaved really badly, not because that's not always the case, but on the whole they'd done something wrong, not just because they weren't so great at writing something professional for Amazon. So that's how suspension safeguard came around. So whilst you're a Bookable VA online arbitrage deals client, if you were to get suspended, then I'm here to help you 100%, and we'll work together to get your account back. There's videos for you to watch. There's a draft plan of action for you to work from. I'll have a look at it before you submit it. I'll give you thoughts on it, comments on it. I'm there to answer any questions, anything you need. So we'll look after it together if it happens. Okay, so let's jump in to talk about suspension safeguard and suspensions generally, and keeping your account safe. So how will you know if you've got an issue with your account? Well, the email that you get from Amazon doesn't always mention a suspension. So any email you get from Amazon, you need to make sure you're paying attention to, because that's definitely really important to do. Because rarely will they actually phone you. Most of the time they will just email you. They won't actually phone you. So you'll just get an email, that's all you'll get. And not everything that appears to be a suspension really is. Sometimes the responses we get are a little weird and a little unusual. So definitely, have a think about and have a read of every email you get from Amazon really carefully, really thoroughly, because that's going to be your key to making sure you keep your account safe. Because sometimes it can look a little bit like this. So it just might say, we've removed some of your listings because a buyer complained about the items. Complaints about authenticity of an item that they received from you. So it doesn't actually say you're suspended. It doesn't even sound particularly scary. So the things to look out for is if Amazon are asking you for a plan of action to reinstate your listings, that's something you need to be paying attention to. If they're asking for copies of receipts or invoices, you need to be paying attention to that too. So definitely there's things that you need to pay attention to, because they can cause you issues in your account, and it could just be that you missed the email. So be careful and be on the lookout for anything from Amazon that talks about a plan of action or talks about your invoices or your receipts. So always be on the lookout for those, and then read it really thoroughly. Okay. So the unfortunate thing is you don't always have to have done something wrong to get suspended on Amazon. Well, you don't have to have done something wrong in your eyes to get suspended on Amazon. Amazon have a lot of terms of service that most sellers probably don't ever read through from start to finish. And then it's very easy to trip up and do something that's against Amazon terms of service when, it's not necessarily anything that you have done that you would have thought you would have done. So there'd always be a reason, but it's not always a reasonable reason. So I think, any feedback, if you see fake in a review, that is likely to cause you a problem with your account. Whether it's just they delete some listings and they want to see a plan of action on your invoices, or whether it's a full suspension, just, it can be either. But it's definitely a case of any feedback that you receive with fake in it is likely to cause you some trouble. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's unscrupulous competitors and people that, just behave in a fashion that they should be embarrassed about, quite honestly. And they purposely cause you trouble with your account so they can have more sales, scummy people. And it's always best to avoid a suspension when you can. So there's things that you can do to help keep your account safer, which is always, always a good idea. Okay, now there's two different types of suspensions. There's policy suspensions and there's performance suspensions. And policy suspensions are a lot more serious than performance suspensions. I mean, any suspension is serious. You don't want to go there unless you really want to try and avoid them. Because there's no guarantee that you'll get your account back even if you've done nothing wrong. So it's always a good idea to avoid them, but there's different types. So a policy suspension is things like counterfeit goods, inauthentic goods. It's things that Amazon take really very seriously, but they're about the product usually. Performance suspensions are more about how you've behaved and something that you've done. Now, performance suspension can still lose you your account forever, but it's certainly not as serious as a policy suspension. So things like, if you're doing merchant fulfilled and your products have arrived late at the customers too often, that will get you a performance suspension. If you've sold a product under the wrong listing, that will get you a performance suspension. So as I just talked about, performance suspension, so things like late deliveries, used as new, so if the customer says that the product they received was used rather than new and you'd sold it as new. Misuse of sales ranks, if you'd played around trying to get your product ranking higher. That's not so much really for arbitrage, that's more for private label anyway. And order defect rates, so if you've got a lot of complaints about your products having defects, that will get you in trouble. If you've done a description that's different, that will get you in trouble. Policy suspensions, counterfeit goods, inauthentic items, IP infringements. So they're the main policy suspensions. So keeping your account safe. You have to be able to prove your supply chain. So think about all the time where you are sourcing from. Because if you're sourcing from some random bloke off eBay, you don't know where he's got his products from. You can't prove that those products are genuine. And if Amazon challenge you, you're probably going to lose your account. So be very, very careful where you're sourcing your products from and make sure that you know that if necessary, you can trace that all the way back to the manufacturer and you know that, it's a decent manufacturer. So, you give yourself the best chance. But some random bloke on the corner on a Saturday in the market, you don't know where he's got his goods from. He's not going to give you an invoice. I'm not suggesting his goods are counterfeit. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's not about whether his goods are genuine or whether you think his goods are genuine or not. It's irrelevant. It's almost irrelevant if they're counterfeit or if they're not. Amazon want to see proof that you've sourced from reliable sources. So it's not about, I believe him to be selling genuine products. I'm sure he is. He probably is. But it's about Amazon wanting you to be able to prove what's going on. Okay, so invoices versus receipts. As we talked about very briefly before, you want to make sure that you can get, where you can, you get an invoice rather than just a receipt. So when you're doing OA, you'll get a lot of order confirmations come through. It's a really good idea to follow those up and ask for a VAT invoice. Legally in the UK, if you ask for a VAT invoice within 28 days, I think it is, of the buying the product, they legally have to give it to you. They can't say no. So they have to give you a VAT invoice. So that's a really good thing. If you're in the US, I'm not sure about your rules in the US, so you need to check that out with somebody and take some advice. But if you can get an invoice rather than just an order confirmation, that is always going to serve you better. And if you're doing RA, then make sure you're scanning your receipt so you've got a professional looking receipt. So account health management. So make sure you're looking after your account and make sure you're paying attention to your feedback. Make sure you're looking at it, you're checking it every day. Just check your feedback, make sure there's not anything that's in there that's bad or something you've missed or something's happened. So be on the lookout for that at all times. So what to do if you get one of those nasty emails from Amazon? Well, first of all, don't panic. We're in it together. So don't panic. All right. You've got, it's free with your subscription. So as long as you are a client of Bookable VA online arbitrage deals, you have this in place. All right. So I've talked you through already what suspension safeguard means. And it means that we're doing it together and you're not on your own. All right. So if it happens, what you need to do is you need to email me at admin@getunsuspended.com. You need to send me a copy of your invoice and you need to send me forward me the email you received from Amazon. All right. And then I'll talk you through what we're going to do. But I need to see those two first. But don't respond to Amazon. So please don't respond to Amazon, because that's the worst thing you can do. When you get suspended or you get an issue with your account, you only get so many chances to talk to Amazon about it. So you have to make sure that each of those carries weight and value to your appeal. So it's no good just going back to Amazon and saying, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? That's one strike. And we don't get that many strikes before we're out. So please don't waste any doing that. Just come straight to me. As long as you're a client of Bookable VA online arbitrage deals, I'm there for you. Okay, so what happens next? Well, I send you a pack. It's got some videos in it. It's got a draft plan of action specific to the situation that you have. And we're going to go through it, and you're going to write the plan of action based on, you'll need to tweak it and make it personal to you. But I'm here to help you, answer any questions. You want to send it to me before you send it to Amazon, that's fine. I'll go through it, give you any tips or any thoughts of it if there's anything that's not right. And then we submit it to Amazon, and then we wait. And then very rarely will they accept a first plan of action. They tend to come back and say, oh, can I have this much information as well? And then you need to redo that plan of action by adding in that extra information. So they've got an updated plan of action, and then we resubmit that, and then we keep our fingers crossed. But I've helped a lot of people, so I'm confident in what we do. I can't promise you to ever get your account back. That's why it's better to not get in that situation, because I can't make any promises. It's up to Amazon. It's Amazon's decision. But I can promise you I'll help you the best I can. So that's the end of that module. Keep your account safe. Keep an eye on that feedback, please. Make sure you're paying attention to that, and make sure you're sourcing from only good places to help give us the best chance of getting your account back should anything happen. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.